Jeremy, take me through what you and your colleagues, Mike and Jim Rutenberg, have reported.
Well, we knew there had to be a big reason for Tucker Carlson's firing. Fox doesn't just suddenly decide to jettison their most popular primetime host without a very good reason. You know, every time they have fired someone so abruptly, think Bill O'Reilly, Roger Ailes, there's been a big smoking gun. And what we tried to pursue...
And they've come at the end of an investigation. This seems to come at the beginning of one, right?
Well, exactly. And on the eve of this trial. So you knew, like, if they're paying $787.5 million and firing their biggest host in primetime, something isn't quite adding up. There's more to this story. And so what, Mike and I set out to do over the last week with Jim Rutenberg is, what was that? And it just didn't make sense to us that there was, these HR complaints, the Abby Grossberg lawsuit, this toxic workplace. Tucker had been a constant management headache. We knew all of this, but there had to have been something really, really big that went on behind the scenes that we just didn't know about. And
here
this is it.
And as someone who knows the Fox culture, I mean, it is now answerable. Where's the red line? It is this depraved indifference to violence.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, look, this is like, he is voicing homicidal rage. Like, let's not...
An enthusiasm.
An enthusiasm for that. It's really striking. And, I've seen some commentary here and there that, like, oh, we always knew Tucker Carlson was racist. This isn't surprising. Anyone who's watched his show should know he said stuff like this. No. This is different. This is an explicit acknowledgement of racial superiority. His belief that white people are somehow better and less inclined to behave in a bad and dishonorable manner. He said a lot of stuff on his show in coded language that echoes the white nationalist philosophy. He's never said anything this explicitly racist.
There is the stop and think for a second piece. I read the text message when I read the story when it was first alerted, and then I went back and read it again. And Mike, it's hard to get through. I mean, take Tucker Carlson and Fox News out of the story, and this is a sick person speaking joyfully and enthusiastically about a desire for people to beat up another person till he dies. Tell me about how this landed with the board and how keeping an examination of Tucker Carlson on the witness stand factored into both the settlement and his firing.
So the text message set off to, many different important things inside of Fox. One of them was that the board, as you were saying, told Fox that they were basically going to investigate this. Not basically, they were going to investigate this. They're going to bring out this outside law firm. And that created the prospect that as this trial was heading forward and Tucker Carlson could be called to the stand and might even be asked about this text message if it became unredacted, that there would be an ongoing investigation being done by the board into whether their top star was a racist and what the circumstances were behind that. And that put the company in a highly unusual and difficult position where they had to realize there could be an ongoing investigation into Carlson. The second thing that the text message did was it raised the issue of what could happen at the trial in a new and different light. And by that, what I'm saying is that Tucker Carlson was to be called as a witness. And if Dominion moved to have the message unredacted and was able to use it, you would have had this incredibly dramatic and damning moment at the trial where a Dominion lawyer was asking Tucker Carlson to explain this text message. And Fox had taken on an enormous amount of bad press and publicity around this. I think it was starting to wear more and more on the company. And this would have been even worse in that area. On top of that, there are all these other suits that have been brought against Fox in which there will be discovery, and this text message could come out. So the company, top executives, did not know about it until the day before the trial started, nor did the board. And they were finding out about this. And it all comes at this time that they're trying to settle the lawsuit. And it leads to this decision to settle it for this extraordinary amount of money.
I mean, Mike, Tucker's coverage of Kyle Rittenhouse is probably his on-air performances that come the closest to rooting for what he articulates in the text. But I'm going to read it one more time. I want to ask you to expand on what in your reporting crosses the line in this for Fox News. Let me read it one more time. Tucker Carlson writes this on January 7th. A couple weeks ago, I was watching video of people fighting on the street in Washington. A couple of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It is not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they would hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being, much as I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally if I knew him. I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by it. I should remember that somewhere somebody probably loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. If I don't care about those things, if I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is? Tell me how reading that, in your understanding, gave them a piece of information about Tucker Carlson they didn't have from this program.
Well, so I'm not exactly sure about, look, how much this, like, I'm not exactly sure how much of that is, like, differentiating between what the board thought about what he said publicly and that. I'm not exactly sure. What I do know is that the idea that this could become public was very frightening for the company. It was very frightening because you were going to have a jury at a trial that was going to be able to decide a dollar figure. And Fox had underestimated the way that the public was going to react to the initial messages that came out in February. And this was going to make it all the worse with the jury if they saw this message, and it could increase. So I look at it, and it's been described this way, what Fox did with Tucker Carlson, as a business decision. They made a business decision to get rid of him. And I realize that may not be very satisfying to people that have long thought, that Tucker Carlson was a racist. But I really think this comes down to business more than anything.